the audio doesn't work, I blame Patch Tuesday. That's all I'm saying. If we can't hear Paul on the audio, then it's just going to be 10 minutes of me talking to a figure that looks like Paul.
That's okay. I got nothing to say.
Well,
How
Paul,
was your week?
we know it's the end of the year. We know it's the end of the year because Microsoft shoved a whole bunch of features in Skype.
I looked this up, and if you go to the official Skype blog, they've had 2 posts this entire year. And I think last year they might have had 14, something like that. You know, last year being the year that they released Windows 11, which doesn't have Skype built into it anymore. So yeah, there's no doubt we've talked about this, but the thing I don't understand about Teams in Windows 11 is that it's called Teams, that it's a separate app, and that it doesn't just automatically interact with other people who are using Skype still. Like, if they had done that, I don't think I'd care. But they didn't do that, and honestly, I'd still kind of care because Skype is a better brand, and they completely blew it during the pandemic when Zoom was racing ahead. They moved too slow. First, they didn't move at all. And then they finally were like, hey, maybe we should have a way for people to join a Skype meeting without having to create an account first, like Zoom does.
It's the little things.
So yeah, it's the little things, the core things, one might say.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So yeah, here we are. I mean, I think the thing I appreciate the most about Microsoft is the humorous way they keep us all guessing about everything. We still don't know what's in Windows 10 22H2. Skype is or isn't a thing. I don't know. I don't know. Hilarious.
That is one way to describe it. That is factual. Hilarious is.
I'm just trying to be good-natured about it. It's just so stupid. What can you do? Just have to laugh.
It just makes no sense. I mean, I'm sure there's dozens of people using the consumer Teams, which is so whatever.
I'm sure dozens of people are using it. But you know what? There are so many mistakes there. Like I said, it's a different app than the actual Teams client, right? It's a different app. So if you need Teams to work, you need another app. You have to go download it. Okay. They have the same name. They have similar icons. They're hard to tell apart. They do different things. And the consumer version, like I said, doesn't connect to Skype on the back end. Like what? Like, why would you release this thing?
So I feel like it was last week, but it was this week. It was like 2 days ago. So I'm in the office, and Raph was in the office with us.
Yeah.
And this news started coming out, and Raph goes, hey, open up your consumer Teams. I bet it's like mine. And we both opened ours up, and all it is like one message, like, does this thing work? And that's it. That's been...
Right. Yeah, he texted me the other day, and he's like, or last week, and he's like, hey, how come you never responded to my message? And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, what are you talking about? And he says, he's like, yeah, I'd ask you a question about whatever. I'm like, where did you send this? And he's like, the Teams that's built into Windows 11. I'm like, well, that explains it. I don't use that. No one does. What are you doing? But this is the problem. I still have, look, corporate teams should interact with Skype. I should only need one Microsoft messaging solution on my PC. And by the way, whatever anyone thinks of the other stuff, corporate team, whatever we're calling it, business teams, actual teams, is so powerful and so extensible that that's the one that should have everything, right?
Yep.
So you should be able to use that one client, interact with your work buddies, right? And interact with consumers on Skype. Duh. But you can't. They add 115 features to Teams every month. Right? I know.
It's a hard computer science problem, Paul.
I guess. I mean,
the funny thing is there was, I think, a rumor last week or whatever that Microsoft was considering building a super app. What they should build is just a chat app that includes all their chats.
That was a typo. It really, what they meant to say was a superfluous app.
Oh,
and there's no what when you say super app, of course, what you really mean is like a mobile app, right? This is What is it that Microsoft could do on mobile that would get people on Microsoft, right? They've already done all the big hits. They've got Office, they got the individual Office apps, they got OneDrive, which is actually pretty great on mobile. They have Skype, they have Teams. They don't have consumer Teams on mobile, though, do they? Which is kind of messed up when you think about it. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. I don't think they do.
Do they? I can't remember.
I know. Who
I
cares?
think
They have
I think
Edge.
you can switch accounts from within the app, which you can't do on the desktop.
Okay, that's good. There you go. That's what you should be able to do. Okay. What else do we need from these guys? What is it? What are we pining away for? What could Microsoft do to drive us to use MSN and Bing and their advertising services on mobile devices? What on earth could they offer us that we would accept this deal with the devil? Right? Nothing. What's the point?
Yeah.
I don't care how super it is. No one's doing it.
What if it's super duper?
Extra califragilistic.
Got you there, Throt.
Everything. All right. Well, there's always a chance, but I don't have the vision or the imagination to see how that could happen, but sure.
The other big thing, and this is only big to me, maybe you too, maybe one or two other people, is that Google announced that all their stuff is now Matter compliant or whatever it was is yesterday.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at my router like, it has hiccuped, like actually even this morning where the Wi-Fi just wasn't working. You reboot it and it's fine.
Okay.
And I'm like,
But technically
you got a
speaking,
cold there, buddy?
I would never undercut the desire of another man to buy anything, but does your router have to be Matter compliant for this stuff to work?
I don't know, but I don't think I have anything else that would be a Matter hub. Like you need a Matter hub within this.
Well, yes. So, right. So Google Nest devices are Matter hubs now.
Yep.
A Google Pixel apparently is a Matter hub. That's kind of interesting.
That is interesting, actually.
But you'll be getting this in iOS. I mean, this is coming. Apple's on board.
Well, the Matter part is, but I feel like, I don't know. I'm trying to justify buying a router. In my
No,
head.
I get it. That's why I prefaced what I said the way I did. Right now, it's not a big deal. I'm going to write something about Matter. I'm sure I'll use a witty headline like Matter Matters or something stupid like that. But the thing is, like, what we're really talking about here is this conversation we have all the time around things like, is it okay for Edge to, standardize on Chromium, and what are the pros and cons of that? And some people feel very strongly one direction, some people feel very strongly the other. But what I would say to this is simply, this removes a compatibility barrier, which it is a problem for Safari and Mozilla, and was a problem for Microsoft, and allows them to put those resources toward other uses and just advance the platform. We've seen how they've done that, God damn it. So maybe they should have stuck with Trident. I don't know. But it's Matter is like that. If we're going to buy a hardware device or some kind of smart home device, you'd have to make sure it was compatible with whatever it was you were using. So you use Apple devices or whatever that's called, Apple Home or whatever it is, HomeKit. You go into Lowe's or Best Buy or whatever, or wherever online, you look at the box if you can, you look for the logo. And actually what that reminds me of was in the mid to late 90s when I was on NT 4.0. I did this multiple times, but the one I really remember was it was like a network card. You would print out that portion of the hardware compatibility list. It would list, it wasn't a very long list either. And it would list the hardware, the network adapters that worked. Go into the store, which for me was Best Buy, and there's one. And then you had to buy that one because it wasn't like Windows, even though it was called Windows. Like, it couldn't just work with everything in the world. It could only work with the things that had, that compatibility. So Matter does what XP does. It brings the broad compatibility of all of those platforms, potentially, right, to everybody, right? So if you're on HomeKit and there was this awesome smart home thing that you couldn't use before because it was only on Google, Matter will take care of that for you. You'll be able to bring it online and use it with HomeKit. And that's awesome. I mean, it's awesome in theory. It's not a thing right now because what are the 5 or 6 Matter compatible devices out in the world? I don't know. But presumably most devices that are compatible with any of these platforms in the future will now be compatible with all of them.
Well, what I'm waiting for and what I want is right now I have to use 2 apps effectively. I have to use the Apple Home app and I have to use the Google Nest app. And so
right.
This will allow me to pick, and it'll just because it's on an iOS device, it'll more than likely be the Apple one, but it'll allow me to consolidate everything into one app, and the automation will then all be within one app, which will be great.
This is one less app you have to install, have to keep updated, have to worry about security problems with, whatever, and one less interface to learn, one less thing to go to, you know, or you have, I don't know what they call them on Apple, but routines or whatever you do, and you can do them all from one place now, and everything does everything instead of this thing doing some things and this thing doing some other things. So it's there are always people who will be like, yeah, I don't see the benefit. You know, I don't care. You know, it's like, okay, but actually it's a big deal. You know, this is a big deal. It will be a big deal. Like today, the day we're recording the show, it's going to be a big deal. But, you know, at this time next year, it's going to be a different story.
Yeah, because there should be a whole bunch of... Hue will eventually support Matter. And so...
Yeah, not like eventually, like in 2 years. Like eventually within 2 months, probably. It's going to be quick, you know, relatively quick.
That's the goal.
Actually, if you have a Hue device, which you do, you have a Hue hub, right? Mm-hmm. That will be a Matter hub. They are going to upgrade that to Matter hub.
Curious if they'll make me buy a new hub.
Well, they said the existing one will work. Yeah.
Well, then maybe my Matter's problems are no longer...
But you'll still want a new one because, you know, how old is your Hue hub? It's probably a couple of years old. I mean, who knows what kind of ridiculous, you know, Raspberry Pi level nonsense it's running with, you know, 2 megabytes of RAM or something. I don't, you know, who knows?
Yeah, we'll find out. It'll be a learning experience. And,
yeah, it'll be interesting.